Diamond in the rough here with a quick review, or an overview rather, of how I prepare fabrics when I am doing batch cutting. I have issues with hand mobility, so I try to do things that make my prep work easier. And for me, when I'm doing a bunch of a project, whether it's wallets that I'm doing, or bags that I'm doing, or little birds that I'm doing, I'm just throwing some of them out on the table where we can see some of them. Little birds, here's a handful view of them. For other like art projects that I'm always working on, because I am a fiber artist, I try to do things that make it easier for my hands. So I try to think of ways that when I do something once, I do it for more than one item or more than two or three items. So that's what we're going to try to do today. And I will say later, I will have a bit of a review of what I've been up to in these YouTube streets. Later, I'll do a separate video for that. So today I'm working on batch quilting or fiber projects when I have to prep a lot of fabric. And I'm trying to remember where I saw this on a video where other fiber artists were kind of doing a similar thing. So if I can find that, I'll reference that. But thank you to all those YouTube University angels who always make our work easier. So what I'm going to do today is sample some of my process. I have fabric here that needs to be kind of straightened out. I hate ironing. I will tell you that. I have a burn on my arm. That is my ironing horror story. Well, I'll tell you about that later. While I talk, I'll just line up some of the fabrics that I'm working on. Now, some of these are for widths of fabric that I'm going to either cut down or keep the same size. I will say I like tearing my fabric because it keeps me either on the cross grain straight or on the straight of grain, depending on how I tell it, either tear it equal left to right or either north south. So I'll line these up, show you my process, and then go to the next step. These are cotton, so all of them are pretty much the same weight in terms of fabric. I wouldn't do this if I'm doing, rayons or polyesters or part polyesters or even spandex. Spandex you can iron as well, but remember with that you have to have a low iron because of the plastic content and the spandex stretch content. You can burn that stuff up in a minute. I'm ironing just on my simple ironing process here, and you'll notice even some of the fabrics, you see this mark here where some of the dye transferred to my ironing pad. And while I'm thinking about it, I'll remind me to do a video on how I did my ironing base pad. I'd like them. I have warped boards before, cutting boards, so I've switched to doing something separate where it's nothing impeding the plastic that's in the self-healing mats. I've sprayed this with a simple starch, regular smegular. You can get this anywhere. Wally World, Dollar Store, Dollar General, your corner store, however way you can do it. Sometimes I'll dampen them, most times I don't. Just spray them all in a pile just to get them damp a bit. I have an iron with lots of steam. Let me move my birdies out the way because we don't want to hurt them. And I like to iron these up, iron them or lay them out rather. Biggest on the bottom, smallest on the top. Sometimes if I'm doing a bunch that's all of one size, I'll have them all a length of fabric in the same width that I'm going to use. I don't like to waste fabric because in these post-tariff streets, every fabric counts. Leave no fabric left behind. We don't want to do that. Here's a piece where I piece two fabrics together. Again, if something's not wide enough for what I need, I'll often piece things together. And I will give a shout out to one of the most fabulous fabric vendors I know, T Quilts. Sis, thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. She is always having new fabrics on her horizon. Y'all check her out and you buy from her because her stuff is always top notch, quality, A1, primo, however way you want to say it. So everybody's lined up, and then I'm just going to iron them. And I use a hot iron. Again, everything should be about the same fabric content. You know, if it's a synthetic of any kind, of course, you're going to drop your temperature lower and use as less heat as possible because, again, you don't want to leave a shiny mark or an iron mark. And if you see a little black mark, I think up here in the corner, there's a little bit of one. You see this definite pink right here. That comes from not ironing your fusible the right way. And so rather than try to peel it off, I left it on there, cut it close to what's not fusible, and kept it moving. So I iron everybody nice and hot and straight. Try to keep all the selvages together, which on the next setup here, you'll see where I've done just that. Everybody's lined up and the selvages are all matchy-matchy. And then as this kind of cools, I'll just roll it. And often when I'm storing fabric, I will put a note on it with a safety pin or a clip as to what it is, how wide it is, if they're all the same size, or that they've been starched and ironed. And I'll at least put that on it so when I see it, I'll know that I've starched and ironed my fabric. So in our next clip, I'll pause the video here and show you the next version. Oh, and I will say before I stop, use incontinence pads if you can get a hold of them at a medical supply place. They're great to use because they're waterproof in that you can, I use them as an ironing cover, even though with this process or with this board, it's a piece of drop ceiling tile. They got 2 layers of batting, 2 sheets from the secondhand store, washed, sanitized, ironed. Remember to always do that with your things from the thrift store and put on. But because I'm doing a lot of stuff and this can easily be washed if I need to wash it. But right now this just usually has starch on it and a few mistakes like that. I don't let that stop me. And this is big enough. This is a 3 foot, probably 3 foot by 2.5, easy, almost a square. But these are great for ironing pads too. They're not thick enough to iron on top of a wood table because you will affect your wood or either your plastic below. So I'll pause here and then we'll come back with the next step. Okay, now we're back. I'm ready to cut my fabric. I've lined up my strips. These are different fabrics from our first review, but these are all things that I need to cut anyway. I collect fabrics, as I mentioned, from reliable vendors that I've mentioned before, and I'm not opposed to digging in the crates and finding some old vintage fabrics that we can't get anymore. Some of these are from my travels overseas, some from good vendors, as I've mentioned, but line them up biggest to smallest, so at least you can see where everyone is. And what I've done is went back and lined up all the torn edges on one side. And as I work with these, long as they're close to what I want, and usually I have some fudge room in there. These are 5.5 for what I want to do for my artwork. But if I'm doing batch wallets, if I'm doing batch bags, if I'm doing batch purses, linings, whatever they are, I'd line them up, starch them, have them ready to cut and sew and go, so to speak. So these are already lined up. I have them lined up on the vertical axis and the horizontal axis in terms of with my cutting board. And I'm just ready to cut away. Now with cutting tools, I'm a lefty, dedicated, dyed-in-the-wool lefty. I swear by Martelli. It's expensive, but guess what? You only have 2 hands or 1 hand. You might as well take care of it while you can. I also like Kai scissors, dedicated left hand. I like Ginger, dedicated left hand. Get things that are going to work for you, that is going to make it easier for you to work. So I have it lined up vertically and horizontally, as I mentioned. I also keep my eye on closeouts. So in some cases I have a ruler. This one is just a piece of plexiglass that I got from our favorite store closing. Because in my area, and by the time of this video, we know that Joann Fabrics is no more. So I am on the hunt to try to find basic, nice, good fabrics. My local quilt stores are an option. They're in the process of, in my area, sock hop, or rather shop hop, which is currently in progress, where people visit quilt stores and buy and get their card punch. And there's the shops that are part of this give you a free gift for participating in that shopping endeavor. These are 5 inches, roughly 5 inches north-south. And I have lined them up, as I mentioned, 5 inches. I'm lining my line up. And this can be a rotary, this can be a ruler. But since I'm not really using the lines for anything, that's why I use the plexiglass. Again, I got these from Joann's when they were closing. I wish I had gotten more because I do like them for the thickness of it, and as well to also put in shelving areas of my storage where I need to have something lie straight, like felt and things of that sort. So it's lined up. I got my telly good to go. I'm just still learning all the secrets to it. The blade is super sharp, and yes, I have cut my finger on this dog. Just the tip, not too much. But once you line yourself up, remember to use safety, hand pressure away from the blade. Line, I usually press down through the back of it because that's easier. And a nice clean cut. Uh-oh, did I not do it? I should have done it twice. And sometimes I use, since I don't think they have dedicated left or right hand, I do have a 60-inch Fiskars too that I use on occasion. But always remember to put your blade in or safety in. Put that safety down because Martelli will cut. And it's already nice and cut. Now I will go back and I will cross cut these as well. Let me turn it the other way. Get myself together here. This is new for me filming. I've got a nice new light that I really like because it lights up and illuminates my work area so nicely. And even with a second cut or a cross cut, I will count how big it needs to be again and cut away. Now my scraps, and some might ask, well, what do I do with them little pieces? I save them. No scrap left behind. Remember that hook for either for the National Negro College Fund or either it was for children and education. No child left behind. No scrap left behind. Save your scraps. And I think I might have got this. If it's wrong, I'll switch and use. I might have a nick in my Martelli blade, which I'm willing to bet that's what I do have. If there's a nick in it, it won't cut in that area. Nice and cut, put your safety on. Okay, there we get it together. And let me set these away so I won't hurt myself. But let's talk a little bit about storage and organization. As I mentioned, I like to do things in batches. When I'm doing projects for either myself or for my marketplace, which will be opening soon, I like to cut things and have them ready to go, right? And this is how I like to do it. Save my scraps. And it might be off. Deborah, I might be off. Lord, I am not paying attention. So let me fix that right now. Save the scraps because these are 1-inch scraps that you can easily use in another project. I have a long strip of this left. I'll keep this pinned together. In fact, let me do that now. I'll pin it together. Put the pin on the inside between your layers so you don't poke yourself. Blood on fabric is never a good thing. Roll this up. This is not done, so it needs to be cut. This is done. It needs to be recut because I mismanaged, and thank you for those who mentioned in the chat of what I've done wrong. But again, no scrap left behind. Put my strap back on because I have a nick in that Martelli, I'm willing to bet. This goes in a scrap pile because I can usually use this when I need a little bit of fabric somewhere or a piece of. And here's some that I've already cut from an earlier run. Again, no scrap left behind, even my pieces of selvage. And we know some of the stuff in terms of our block prints come from places that are not tariff friendly right now. So every bit of fabric that you have, sewers, don't throw them away. You can always put these together end on end and use them. Here's some end cuts from a larger project that I was doing, bags, I believe. And this is the end that was left after I lined up all of my bags. Now, if you're doing a big order, I will remind folks again that your hand safety is number one. Invest in a set of or in a pair of electric cutters. With my electric cutters, I can cut 12 at a time with one swipe. Saves the hand, saves the labor. Be sure to label. This is for my project, as I mentioned, where I have all pieces together of the project. Pieces that as I fold them and make the pockets for my wallets, I like to keep one together so that I know what they are. And then I label. These are end cuts, as I mentioned. Save them. Just put them in a short pile that where you know where they are and you can get to them easy and use something out of them. Because these are what? 2.5, right, 3.5 inches wide. So you can always find a use for short pieces like that. But what I do in my workshop is I line what they are for. This is the back lining for the flaps that goes behind the flaps, and these are some for my flaps that are here. Here, my card pockets. And this is a sample of one of my pockets. I'll slip that in there so I remember what they are. Label them with just a piece of paper and either a bulldog clip or a long piece of paper where you can stack them nicely on top of each other. Here's some backs or my outer covering of my wallets. Line them up like you need to. So when you're ready to sew, you're ready to sew. Oh, and before I leave, I want to remind everyone, take things that you have around your house to get done for what you need to get done with. I'm a little bit of resource short right now, but I do find economical ways to make my base patterns. Placemats, Dollar Store, Dollar General, Family Dollar, Wally World. Pick your store and place of choice and use that to cut your base fabrics. Easy to write on with a permanent marker. You can mark what they need to be in terms of what they are a part of, number them, label them in some kind of whatever your organization process is. Because easily, why do you have to get acrylic from any store when you can get a piece of, 11 by 14 piece of a placemat and use that. You can use it for patterns for either quilt templates. You can use it for, if you're making underwear or lingerie, you can use it to make your base patterns. Again, just label everything sequentially so that you know what they are. So that's it for me, Diamond in the Rough, signing off. Thank you. Support our businesses that are in the business of providing you with good products so that you can continue your business. And remember, diamonds, shine bright. Thank you.